Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about a whole new class of AI that does the heavy lifting for you. And look, these aren't tools for coders. They're built for busy professionals, people who need to turn their ideas into actual results, and fast. So, does this sound familiar? You're trying to turn a total flood of messy reports into one clear story. Or maybe you're just juggling updates from a dozen different teams at once. I mean, it feels like you're just buried under a mountain of digital paperwork, right? And you know what? It's a super common problem. The thing is, our traditional software, it just wasn't built for the sheer scale and mess of information we're all dealing with every single day. But there's a new set of AI tools out there that are completely changing the game. And this is the really crucial part. These tools aren't just about, generating text. They're more like partners. They take your professional instincts, that stuff you just know, and help you turn it into a polished result without all the usual friction. Okay, let's dive in and see how this actually works. All right, first up, let's look at the tools that basically act like your own personal research assistant. We're calling them the synthesizers. And their whole job is to take these massive volumes of information and just make sense of it all for you. So two really powerful Google tools are tackling this challenge. On one hand, you've got Notebook LM. Think of it as your personal research assistant. What's cool is that it stays grounded only in the documents you give it. This makes it perfect for really deep factual analysis. And on the other hand, there's Gemini. This one's more of a master content organizer. It's fantastic at taking all that messy content and cleaning it up so it's actually ready to use. Getting started with Notebook LM is honestly incredibly straightforward. You just create a new notebook, upload your project documents, we're talking strategy decks, interview transcripts, research articles, you name it, and then you can basically interrogate that fixed bank of information with any question that pops into your head. And this is where the magic really happens. You can ask it something super specific, like, hey, summarize all mentions of our diversity strategy from these 10 reports, and boom, it does it. It can even generate an audio explainer for you, so you can turn hours of tedious reading into just a few minutes of really focused listening. That's a game changer. Okay, now let's switch gears to a totally different kind of chaos. Picture this. You're trying to put together a weekly newsletter and you get content from like 6 different teams. And it is a total mess. We're talking different date formats, broken links, inconsistent time zones. Sound familiar? Yeah, well, this is exactly where a tool like Gemini absolutely shines. You can just dump all of those messy links and scattered notes right into Gemini, and you give it a prompt that enforces your specific rules. Something like, okay, every single entry must use a US date format, it has to have a clear call to action, and it needs to be summarized in 2 sentences. And just like that, it does all the cleanup work for you. Okay, so let's take this whole idea a step further. We've gone from making sense of existing information to now actually building our own custom tools to manage it. And the best part? You can do it all without writing a single line of code. So these are what we call no-code platforms. Instead of needing to know how to program, you just describe the tool you need. Maybe it's a calculator, a dashboard, a project planner, whatever. You describe it, and the AI builds the logic and the interface for you. I mean, this really opens up software creation to pretty much everyone. For example, with a tool like Manus, you could just describe a comprehensive event cost simulator, and you could have a working version of it ready to go in under 10 minutes. Seriously. And what's so cool about this is how it takes what would normally be a really complex spreadsheet and turns it into a simple, interactive tool. You can just plug in different variables, like the location of your event or the number of attendees, and the tool dynamically calculates your break-even point and your potential profit. No more fighting with formulas in a spreadsheet, it's just done. Another really powerful builder tool is called Lovable. Now, this tool is what's called agentic, which is a fancy way of saying it doesn't just respond to you, it actively goes out and works on tasks. So, for example, one user fed it a bunch of articles about corporate social responsibility and asked it to design a tool. It came back not with 1, but with 3 complete concepts, including something called a backfire risk analyzer that could spot potential PR disasters before a campaign even launches. How cool is that? Okay, last but not least, let's talk about a tool that many of us are already using. But it has this kind of hidden superpower that can turn it into a specialist for pretty much any task you can think of. So most of us use ChatGPT for, general questions. But its real power for professionals, it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. I'm talking about custom GPTs. So what are they? Think of them as versions of ChatGPT that have been pre-trained to be an expert in one very specific thing. If you have a paid account, you can get access to this huge library with thousands of these specialists. You can find one for almost any task, whether it's analyzing survey data or just instantly formatting content based on your rules. So yeah, this isn't about general knowledge anymore. This is about having a dedicated expert on call 24/7.
Okay, so we've covered the synthesizers, the builders, and the specialists. To kind of bring this all home, let's look at one simple, actionable next step you can take to get started with each one. Because honestly, the best way to understand these tools is to just try one out.
And as you can see here, getting started is surprisingly simple. Look, the key is not to try and learn them all at once. That's overwhelming. Just pick the one that solves a current headache for you and spend like 15 minutes with it. I think you'll be pretty surprised by what happens. At the end of the day, the real power of all these AI tools is their ability to close that frustrating gap between your ideas and your actual impact. They're what let you translate your gut instinct into a real-world outcome. So the only question left is, what's that first instinct that you're going to turn into an outcome?